Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, West Coast Weather Watch. Today is January 28th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can clearly see the ridge retrograding, moving back up across the Gulf of Alaska here, though it does stay close to the Pacific Northwest, not allowing for a true Arctic blast to come down into the region here. But you can see the system spawned by that Arctic air now driving down across Washington. Pretty good snowfall amounts across some portions of Idaho, Montana as we speak. That's ongoing currently. This storm will pivot down across California and move through the southwest here as well, bringing some nice snowfall amounts to some of the higher terrain and some winds as we go on in through the next few days here. We'll take a look at those details. Let's take a look at the extended forecast. Looks like the Pacific Northwest going to start to move back towards a warmer, wetter period here, and we'll check those details out, and then we show some troughing in the extended. We'll look at that as well. So here we are with current hazards. You can see we've got the winter storm warnings in effect, winter weather advisories. This is ongoing currently across Montana, Idaho, down towards Wyoming. As we go on through the day today, you can see some wind advisories across California. There's even some freeze watches down there as well. Some wind advisories up there for Skagit, Whatcom County there, Washington. Outflow winds are going to start blowing here as well for some gusts up over 40 miles per hour. And those same offshore winds are going to drive down across California as well. So now looking here, this is for California. Some of these wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, mainly above 2,500 feet for the big gusts coming down there. But this is going to include some of the valley areas as well, up towards 50 miles per hour. And with that unusual direction here, or a different direction than some of the southwest storms coming across the region here, it can be tricky here and cause some power outages and whatnot. So watch out for that threat there across California. More on that here in a moment. You can see the gusty winds and the timing of that here as we go on through 1 p.m. Sunday through 1 p.m. Monday here for that wind advisory. Now you can see this cold storm expected Sunday and Monday all the way down through California there. Some of the snow levels are going to be pretty low through Southern California there, all the way down to 2,500 feet there. This is going to include the Grapevine down there as well. Now, taking a look at that, speaking of that, you can see National Weather Service Hanford here. Check that out. Very good graphic here showing the past summit there, Gorman, and you can see that Grapevine here. So it's going to be close on that pass level there. 1 to 2 inches of snow, as you can see, going back and forth on I-5 there out of Southern Cal or the Southland, the Los Angeles metro down there. Now, taking a look here, winter weather advisories. This is for National Weather Service. Lake Tahoe area out there for Reno, Nevada. There snow amounts up to 2 inches, 4 to 10 west of 395 there. You can see for the higher terrain kind of bullseye there with some of those better snowfall amounts there across the area. So watch out for that difficult travel there Sunday, possibly into Monday morning commute there. This is for National Weather Service Flagstaff, Arizona, highlighting that storm system moving down across the region there Monday through Tuesday, accumulating snow above 4,000 feet, just mainly minor to moderate impacts here across Monday through Tuesday. Good graphic there as well from Flagstaff. Now, this is for Utah here. Check out some of the higher terrain, 4 to 6 inches there. You can see Salt Lake City here, about 2 to 3 inches there. So nice graphics coming out this morning from the National Weather Service. This is actually looking at the snow water equivalent in the upper Colorado region here, and you can see 2023 we're doing pretty good. We're above average so far here. 2022 was as well, but it kind of dropped off and fell below average as we went. But so far so good here. You can see we're up towards 2011 values there. So if we can maintain that here and continue to build up that snowpack up there. This is up towards Portland. National Weather Service here showing the low wind chills this weekend down into the teens. So heads up, you're going to feel that chill there, especially as we go on in through Monday morning shown here. This will include Western Washington, Cascades, Eastern Washington, Oregon, as well as these Arctic winds going to sweep down out of the north as we go on into these next couple of days here. So we've got more additional snowfall here. This is for western Colorado, Grand Junction, generally less than an inch. And you can see, of course, across the higher terrains, Steamboat Springs out there, 6 to 8 inches as well. So, so watch out for those slick roads out there, blowing snow well below normal temperatures out there at Grand Junction, Colorado. Now, this is out for Nevada, checking out some of the snowfall here all the way down to some of the lower elevations here across Nevada. It's all pretty high terrain there, but you can see the highlight there for some of the higher terrain as well. And you can see the timing of these systems also. This from the National Weather Service, Elko, Nevada. So this is Lookout Pass here on I-90 here going across Montana. You can see they got some pretty good snowfall amounts here And as you click through these, you can see that there's pretty good amounts across some of the terrain out there. And so this is I-90, and you just want to kind of watch out for this if you're traveling eastbound, really out of Spokane through the Idaho Panhandle into Montana. That snow is still ongoing this morning across the area there. Now this shows it pretty well here. This is last night's European run. You can see the Arctic air sagging south across the region with that snowfall across some of extreme northeast Washington, Idaho, and Montana. This would be as of this morning, and you can see, put this into motion here, tries to reach out a little bit towards western Washington and Oregon. You might see some flakes on the higher hills here as we go on in through Sunday morning here, but it should clear out pretty quickly here. And you can notice that snow ending from north to south across Montana there. Idaho, as the storm system then pushes down across the Sierra Nevada, Utah, Colorado down here, eventually bringing some upper elevation snowfall to Arizona, even some much needed rainfall for the lower elevations as well. Take what we can get as it comes here. Now taking a look at this 24-hour running total Kuchera ratio here, and if you put this into motion, you can see again that snow ending from north to south across the region here, bringing some decent amounts across Sierra Nevada, Utah, as I said. Just going to give you a running total there as another system starts to slide through BC here as we go on into early next week, but doesn't seem to get Washington too much here through the 90-hour period. As you can see, this is snow depth in inches here. Just like to kind of show you guys a visualization of the snowpack. The European does show a little bit of snow getting down a little bit lower here across some of western Oregon here. So you might see some flakes across the Puget Sound, Willamette Valley. Just want a heads up for that, but no major snowstorm is expected like we've been talking about for some time now. But you can see some of that snow building up across the Southern California higher terrain as well. Now this is looking at what's going on here. You got the sea level pressure here on the left. You got winds at 925 millibars, about 2,500 feet here on the right. And you'll notice the higher pressure here in the brown coloring here. And as you push this down, look at this high pressure just kind of sagging south. You can see the outflow winds coming across the Fraser River Gap, Stampede Gap, and the Gorge coming across eastern Washington. And as this high pressure sags south, you notice these winds translate down through California as well. That's why they have wind advisories going on across the state of California there also. So then you see that high pressure kind of sag south across the region here. You get this lower pressure in response to this Arctic high that's causing that storm down across the southwest portion of the USA as we go on in through early next week coming up there. And you can see that Arctic high sagging south and east of the Rockies as well. Now taking a look here, this is 925 millibars again on the European. Just one more look at that here. You can see the high pressure sagging south, the winds kicking up here, moving all the way down through California with that wind advisory as well. And the storm system moves across the southwest portion here as we go on into early next week. And then maybe some systems starting to return to the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that in the extended here in a moment. Now this is looking at the European, the max accumulated 10-meter wind gusts here, mainly for Washington and Oregon here. This is 100-meter wind speed to kind of give you a running shot at things here. So you can see the outflow winds coming across the San Juans here, out across some of Skagit, Whatcom counties there. You can see the wind gusts up over 40 miles per hour impacting some of Vancouver Island there, and maybe some of the north coast on the Washington Peninsula here towards the Strait of Juan de Fuca as we go. And you can see some decent gorge winds going on here, but nothing too crazy here. It's immediate Stampede Gap area out there as well, some gusty winds, and through eastern Washington there as well, maybe some gusts up to 40 miles per hour there as well. So taking a look at California, we put this into motion, and you can see these winds driving down from north to south across the area there, and that's why that wind advisory is there. You can see the higher terrain, some pretty good gusts coming across some of the mountainous areas there in northern California. So heads up for that as you go. Even the Sierra Nevada getting in the action there. Some gusts well up over 40 miles per hour possible there. Now taking a look at Portland International, the European kind of upticked a little bit here. So there could be some flakes around the northern Willamette Valley there as we go on in through tonight on into tomorrow morning. We'll see how that goes there, but we're not expecting anything major. As you can see, everything here is generally less than an inch. Now this is Yakima out there. They kind of downtrended these totals as well, but you might see a few flakes flying out there as well. But the mean is generally even below a half an inch there. So this is Great Falls, a downtrend for them as well. As you can see, this is kind of going on during the day today, just generally totals around an inch possible there. This is Reno, the further south you get, a little bit better dynamics here as far as snowfall for some of the higher terrain versus western Washington and Oregon anyway. This is Reno International Airport here, 2 to 3 inches expected out there. This is Big Bear City Airport down there, Southern California, the higher terrain, up towards 5 inches there on the ensemble and the control run there. Now Flagstaff, check it out. about 4 inches on the ensemble and the mean here. And if I haven't explained this, I'll explain it again right now. So you have 50 different ensemble members here on the European run. Each one of these 50 here, our initial conditions are tweaked a little bit from what we think they are to try to correct for our errors. And this control run here is a lower resolution version of the initial conditions as we think. So each one of these is tweaked a little bit to try to correct for any errors we may have in the initial conditions. And then each one of these models is left to just run out on its own here. So when we have better agreement between the models here, our confidence in our forecast increases there. And then we also have a deterministic run that runs separately from this. It's higher resolution. It's the similar conditions as this control run here, but it's just higher resolution. So when we have good agreement like that, our confidence does increase in a forecast. So this is St. George, same thing we're looking at here, up towards 4 inches coming on in through Monday morning, on in through the day Monday, shown there. Now, this is Las Vegas. Check it out. If you're headed down there, you might see a few flakes flying, especially if you're just outside of town there on some of the higher terrain across the area there, Las Vegas. Be aware of that. It's kind of chilly out there, so heads up for that. Now, this is looking at the European. We're looking at the deterministic run. This is a high-resolution model here versus the GFS on the right. We're looking at North America here, Alaska, Washington, California is shown there. And this is last night's run here, so we're comparing the models. You can see that low moving through now, causing that storm, then diving down across the southwest here. Eventually that storm gets out of there, and we build a bit of a ridge here across Pacific Northwest, but you can see both models agree that energy returning to the Gulf of Alaska here is starting to pivot these storms back through the Pacific Northwest, and then some troughing showing up, but pretty good agreement here, over 200 models out between the GFS on the right and the European here on the left. As you can see, that troughing over the west coast, potentially bringing another storm system across the western portion of the USA shown here, and then maybe additional systems moving through the Pacific Northwest in the future there. And this, again, this is the avalanche.org. If you guys are going out in the backcountry, you can see there are areas out here across Wyoming, Montana that do have high risk here, and across northeast Washington as well. The Cascades are generally moderate, but still, it depends locally where you are. You know, click on any one of these individual areas, you can get all kinds of information. Avalanche threat across California, mainly low as of this point. Watch out, Colorado, there is some considerable as well. So this is taking a look at La Nina. What's going on here across the equatorial Pacific? You know, this has big implications here on the pattern across the globe here. So as we look, there's December 29th. You can see the date there running. There's January 1st. There's January 10th. And you can see this warm water clearly moving in across the equatorial Pacific and building up off the coast of South America. As you reset that, you can see that cold air there now. And when that warm air starts building up like that, and the models are in agreement that this La Nina is going away, it is very high confidence right now that we're headed towards neutral or El Nino conditions here as we go on in through the year. So just thought I'd show that. I like to show this from time to time here to kind of keep everybody up to date here on what's going on across the equatorial Pacific Ocean here. And La Nina has been in charge, and you can kind of see that by the warmer than normal water here across the western Pacific and that colder than normal water here, and it sets up jet stream patterns, and it really affects a lot of the planet here. But it is just one driver, and we don't fully understand how these implications play out across the globe. We're kind of in the infancy of looking at some of these global circulations as we go, but there's a lot of good research being done on it, and they do show certain trends here. So we'll talk about what El Nino means for the west coast of North America, the Pacific Northwest, as far as snowfall, precipitation, windstorms, all that good stuff. I'm going to do a video on that just in and of itself. And here are the model runs here. We are in January now. You can clearly see the climb coming here as we go through February, March, April, May, as we're probably headed towards pretty close, if not into El Nino conditions here as we go on in through next fall. So just like to keep updating this as we go. And this is one last thing here I'd like to do. This is a Seattle Fantasy windstorm hunt here. You can see a few larger systems coming in here as we start to change the pattern to a little bit warmer, wetter. This looks like it would take place sometime next week, maybe Thursday, Friday. Some systems look to arrive here across the area. And you can see a little bit of gusty northerly winds here as we go on in through this afternoon and evening here with that Arctic wind kind of moving down across the area. Even though it is mostly a dry intrusion, it will bring a little bit of precipitation, but not a big snowstorm by any means across any of the lower elevations of the Puget Sound. So yeah, you can kind of see that weak system there diving down out of BC across western Washington. Just doesn't have the dynamics to spawn a strong surface low out here or strong troughing here to bring that snow level down to the surface here in through western Washington, Oregon. But that will pivot down across here, and it's going to kind of be slow moving here as it moves across some of the southwest here. So some decent snowfall amounts coming for the higher terrain there. And then we'll start to get the Gulf of Alaska troughing going again and start to bring some systems back into the west coast. It looks like the extended pretty good model agreement here on a trough setting up across the west as well. So anyway, yeah, hope you guys are liking the videos. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Leave some comments below. We got a good weather community here across the Pacific Northwest, trying to include a lot of the west coast in here as well when things aren't too crazy. But I was born and raised here in the Pacific Northwest, so a lot of my focus goes there, but I do love talking about the rest of the west. I've lived in California, Montana, and Nevada also, so I do like to look at other areas as things get active. So as these systems move through, I'll continue to cover that stuff. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.